Hey everyone, hope you are doing awesome. Welcome back to my channel Pega Hut with another video. Thanks everyone for subscribing to my channel, and if you haven't hit the bell icon yet, please do so you won't miss any of my videos. Please hit the like button and leave me a comment or feedback if you like the video or the way I have explained. Let's explore today a bit more about Saveable database and understand the details by using a real-time scenario. I hope you've seen my database introduction and or series videos. If not, then you can go to my channel and find the video over there. Now let's understand what is a savable database. Savable database contain both business and transaction logic, which helps the data to be fetched from or update into external data source or local data storage. Today we are going to understand how to work on savable database by taking a real-time use case so you know where to use going further. So without doing any further delay, let's get into it. Okay, to start with, what we need to do is first let's understand what is a savable database, and then I will, give you a use case, and then I'll show you guys how to use the savable database. So if you would have seen my, earlier database introduction and other videos, you would already know my class structure. So my class structure is for this particular database, I've created a different application. My class structure is I have got xyz-learn database where I have got work class, and I have got a case type called order detail. And I also have a data class where I have got two different data class. One is customer details and another one is order details. Now you notice that in the customer detail I have already created a data type. So if you go to the data type explorer, so you can see my customer detail is a data type, wherein if I click on the customer detail, here you see I have created this record, so which I have already shown you guys in my previous videos, right? So I've created this record. So I mean, people who haven't seen my previous video, they can go and see, or you can also go and see my data type video where I have explained how to do that. So what I meant over here, why am I showing this to you guys is so anytime you create a database, as I have explained in my data type video, that it will automatically create three data pages. One is your customer detail, which will fetch a single record. Another one is your list of customer details, which will fetch a list of record. And third one is a customer detail savable. So instead of creating a new one from the scratch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse to save some time. Now, if I open this customer detail savable database, as you could see that this detail savable database is of a structure page, wherein, so if I go here, if I go to the record, if you see, I've got customer ID as my unique key, and I've got first name, last name, email ID, and date of birth, whatever I have created here. That's the reason my customer detail savable is taking a parameter called customer ID, and in the definition, if I go, it will be a page, and the mode is savable, and the scope. So as you guys know, if you choose mode as savable, the scope can potentially be thread and requester. It can never be node. For node, it is always going to be read only, right? Which I have explained in my database introduction already. Now, what is the beauty of Saveable? Saveable database has got both transactional and business logic. What does it mean? When I said transactional, that means what? So it has got a data source from where it can go and fetch the detail, right? Now, when I say business logic, that means it is also giving an option to save the data back to the source. Now, can that source be same? Yes. Can that source be different? Yes. So you can choose what kind of source you would like to use here. Let's say, for example, I have a scenario where I'm going to fetch the data from one source and update the data. Whatever changes I'm going to make, I'm going to update back to the same source. So in this scenario, this is the area where it will go and fetch the detail. This is the area where it will go and save the detail. So all you need to do is make sure the sources are same. Like over here, it's exactly what that is happening. So basically it's sourcing the data from the class customer detail, which is nothing but it's sourcing from this table, right? Now when I'm going to change something, it's going to save to the same class. That means it's going to save in the same table. So this is what sourcing and retrieving, sourcing and storing the data in this to the same source. Now, in a scenario where you got a requirement where you want to source the data from one source and save to another source, you can also do by changing the source and by changing the details here. So this is the beauty of it. And also, as you could see, that you can add more sources here, and also you can add more sources to save here, depending on the conditions also you can do. So that's the beauty of a savable database. Now another thing which I want to highlight over here is, when you do a savable database, you will not have a refresh strategy. So you need to make sure you are doing your own refresh strategy. Now doing your own refresh strategy means, if you would have seen my final part of the database video, there I have told how to create the database dynamically, and based on those two functions, by removing the page or calling pget plus activity, plus database activity, you can refresh them dynamically as per your need. So I hope this is clear about database. Now just a last thing which I want to tell, this database belongs to xyz learn database hyphen data hyphen customer detail. That means if I go here in the application explorer, this database is belongs to here. That's why if you see, if I go to data model and if I go to database, you will find those database part of that particular class structure. I hope this is clear until now. Now let's understand the business scenario so that I can show you, how to, use a savable database. Now let's say in my business scenario, so when you call a customer representative, let's say I'm in my database, what is it, the videos where I have explained the use case wherein you call a supermarket and then they'll ask for your customer ID. Let's say in that same example, you called up the customer representative, and customer representative asked you the customer ID, and you have given the customer ID. Based on that customer ID, they will fetch the details from the database, right? Now let's say we need, as a business requirement, business wants an ability to also update the email ID by the customer. Let's say if I tell the customer representative that I want to update my email ID, let's say for example, I'm just going with a single use case, and you can change to date of birth, name, everything, right? But here in this scenario, let's say business want the ability to have the updating of email ID for that particular customer when they called up. This is the use case, right? Now I'll just show you how to do that. So here first, as you already know that I have got a savable database which will get the detail from, I'll just refresh it, which will get the detail from this customer detail data type record, local data storage, and also which will also help me storing the changes that customer wants, right? Now this is how my case type looks like, wherein I have got two sections, collect info and collect order. So in this collect info section, where I am going to do that update, fetch the detail, and as per the customer request, I can also have the ability to update the record. Now here, how would I design that? Is if you go to the class structure, so here in work hyphen order detail, right, I have already know the section that belongs to this particular step. Now the section is collect info. Now here, if I go collect info, what I need to do is, first I need to design that. So what I need to design, first I need to have a customer ID, right, so that I can take the customer ID. So to do that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get a text input here, and I need to rename that as a customer. I need to create a property called customer ID. So here what I'm going to do is, I'll probably create a property called cus ID, just so that to differentiate between these two. So I'll create a property called cus ID, and here I'll go here and I'll create this property in under the work hyphen order detail class. So here I'll create this and I'll keep the property as text as is, right? Now I have created one property which is cus ID, and then here what I'll do is, I'll change the label as customer ID. Okay, now I've changed the label as customer ID. Now if I wanted to probably name as a customer ID, I can do that, but for the timing I'll just go ahead with the same thing, right? Now here I'll just follow with my one of the thing which I always do is, okay, I'll just go to dynamic layout, other. All right, so I got the customer ID. Now what, so now I know that if I pass the customer ID, so let me quickly run this database, right? D underscore customer details savable. So if I do an action and run, if I pass the customer ID 1, 2, 3, and if I do a run, so what it will do is, it will go and get the detail from the particular class. So if I put 1, 2, 3, then I should be able to see Sri Mishra and then Sri at the rate gmail.com, right? So as you could see, Sri Mishra, Sri at the rate gmail.com. So all I need to do is, refer this database for this to load. So in this scenario, what you can do is, so this database belongs to a class called data-customer. So I've already created a user interface as in section for customer detail, which holds this value: first name, last name, date of birth, email ID is already there with a read only. So as you guys know, my email ID is going to be editable. That means I will give a privilege for user to update that email ID, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this email ID in the presentation tab to auto. So basically it is going to be editable. Previously it was read only. So one part is done, right? Now what I'm going to do is, now this section which I have created, all I need to do is pass the context as d underscore customer detail savable, because d underscore customer detail savable is nothing but a paste where which belongs to the same class. So I would show you how to do that. If you go to the section collect info, what you need to do is you will need to do a embedded section here. Now you drag an embedded section and put it over here, right? I'll just put it here. Yeah. Okay. Now in this embedded section, what you need to do is, instead of here you got multiple options. So what I want you to do is, I want so basically if you realize this, what we need to do is we need to source the data from the database directly. Okay, so that we can save them then and there. So now let's source the database, okay, here, and in the class, so you need to use the database. Now this database is what I need to use. Now this database belongs to which class? XYZ-learn database-data-customer. So all I need to do is copy this one and paste it over here. So automatically I could able to source this database, which is the underscore customer detail. Now when I source this database, obviously it is going to ask me to pass the customer ID. Now in the real-time scenario where I store this customer ID, so this customer ID parameter is what we have defined in the parameter of the database, right? Now what I need to pass? I need to pass whatever user enter in this parameter. Now to pass this one, what I need to pass? I need to pass the cus ID, right? Now if I put dot, obviously it will, because it is in the work class, it will allow me to choose all the property that I have in the work class. So that's why I can able to get cus ID. So basically cus ID is where I am storing the customer ID, and I'm going to pass to the customer detail so that it will load and fetch me the detail, right? Now when it fetch the detail, what all parameter that the cus ID will have. So if I again go and run, just so that you understand properly, if I again go and run action, so if I put 1, 2, 3, so what parameter, what field that it has got value? First name, last name, email ID, date of birth, customer ID, all these things, right? Now here, that's the same section I can use, because that's the section where I have got first name, last name, this one. So if I go open customer detail, you would see I have got first name, last name, date of birth, email ID, just in the property of data-customer class. Now my this d underscore customer detail is also belongs to data-customer detail class. So I am taking this as a source and I am using the section, so that when it comes, when during runtime it comes to here, it will as good as that it will execute as like d underscore customer savable dot first name, which I have just shown you by running the database individually, right? So this is how you need to use the embedded section here. Now I'll do a submit. Now just to be make it little more, so what I'm going to do is I'll get a dynamic layout, and I'm gonna, this is an embedded section, I'm gonna bring it over here, and here what I'm going to do is I'll put a header. In the header I'll say customer detail, customer details. Okay, now once I got this customer detail, I'll just save it over here. Now what I need to do is also, because see, the moment I give customer ID, I want this database to be referred and by taking the customer ID, right? Because of which what I need to do is, in the action tab, what I need to do is I need to refresh. So I'll say on change in the action tab of customer ID. On change, all I need to do is refresh this section, so that it will refresh and automatically it will be referred. Now I hope this is clear and you got to know how we need to do the design with respect to the section. Now let's go ahead and run one case just to see whether it worked or not. So when I go and I'll do a save and run, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the tracer also for you guys. So you would see in the background. So I'll just turn on the tracer, okay, and I'll keep it hidden. So now here what I'm going to do is I'll put 1 2 3 here, and the moment I tab out, so as you could see, I got Sri Mishra and my date of birth and email ID. Now if I go and see in the tracer, so if you would see, the moment I it refreshed, right, at one point where it goes and fetch the details. So if you see d underscore customer detail, where loading that data in the thread scope, and after loading page end, so you would see all the details has come. And because the way I have designed the section by giving it as a step page, that's why you could able to see all the details. Now this customer detail, because inside the section also I have called out customer detail, and outside also customer detail, which I'll remove it later on. Now what I told the requirement, now here user can tell, hey, I have actually I want to change my email ID, can you update this email ID to let's say sri.mishra@gmail.com something. So my responsibility is, the moment I click on continue, I want it to be saved directly without doing any extra logic or anything extra. So that's when my savable database will come into picture. And that's the beauty, how you can just refer this database and save by removing the overhead of writing all the code of object open, object browse, and all these things. That's the beauty of the savable database. Now how do you use, do you think it will automatically trigger the moment I do continue, it will trigger? No, it won't. But before that, how do you use, I'm going to show you another thing, that when you go to the clipboard, right, you could also save the database, savable database, in the clipboard. But do you think you should be able to see that in the database section? No, you can't, because like I told, it doesn't have a refresh strategy. So if you see editable database or a savable database, you would never see part of the your database and thread section. So where you would see in the user page section, because it's part of your user page. Now if you click on this user page, here you will see d underscore customer savable, where I have passed customer ID as 1 2 3, whatever I have given in the in user input, and then it fetched me all the details, right? Now the moment I say that sri.mishra@gmail.com, the moment I do continue, what it will do is this database will be updated, and then we need to store the same thing. So to do that, what I'm going to do is, now how to refer this database. So remember, this savable database is not going to get triggered automatically. You need to tell where you want to add. So there are 3 places where you can add. So the first place is flow action, remember. Second place is flow, and third place where you can refer is from an activity. I'm going to show one by one. So let's start from the flow action. Now if I go to collect info, okay, I'll just check if my tracer is stopped, which is good. Now if I go to collect action, I just need collect info, I just need to find out what is the flow action for that particular section, so I can refer there. Now if I do a view reference, here it shows me, okay, this is the flow action where this section being called. So I'll go to this flow action, I'll do checkout record. Now in the action tab, right, in the under post processing, so here there is something called add database. Now in the add database, if I click, so if you see, you can use a when condition, use associated property, means whatever database you want to use the property, you can use that. But here what I'm going to do is, I'm simply going to you refer the savable database. So the best way is, I'll just go and copy this one, and I'll just paste it here. Okay, so once I refer, as this Pega automatically detects that this database has got a parameter called customer ID. Now which customer ID I need to pass? The same which I have stored in my clipboard. Now what clipboard have stored? So if I go to clipboard here, and if I go to that other order here, now if I go to py workplace, there is something, the cost ID is the property where I have stored the customer ID. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pass the same thing. The moment I do dot, it will okay. So what happened is, during when you pass the parameter, it's always a good practice that here in this savable database, it's always good practice that you simply go and copy that parameter and paste it over here. So here if I go to py workplace, here I say course ID, because you see, the moment you do whatever is there in the database, it's gonna come. So I'll say course ID, right? Now you just do a save over here. Now my flow action has already been designed. I have referred to my flow action. So what I'm going to do is here, without doing any changes, right? So the moment I do Sri Mishra and then I'll do continue, so you will see the magic. So before doing continue, I'll say clear and I'll say play, right? Now the moment I do continue, a couple of things you need to notice. The first thing you need to notice is if I open the clipboard, is my, okay, first I'll stop my database, tracer. If I open the clipboard, is my customer savable database, whatever I have, I mean, as in updated, has it been updated? So if you see, my email ID has already been updated, right? C underscore Mishra. Now all I need to check whether it has been stored in the local data storage or not. To do that, what I need to do is I'll simply go to the local data storage and I'll do an action and refresh. So if you see, the email ID was previously Sri @gmail.com. Now it has been updated to Sri .mishra @gmail.com. So this is the beauty of the Saveable database, on how without writing all this object open or blah blah stuff, you have simply referred the database and Pega does everything for you. Okay, it took care of everything. So I hope you understood about how you can use that in the flow action. Now let's proceed and let me show you on how you can use that in the flow. So what I'm going to do is, to do that, I'll go to collect info, right? I'll just copy this ID for the time being. I'll go to collect info and then I'll say discard, right? Now when I'll discard from the flow action. Now it is no more in the flow action. So that means obviously I need to use that as part of the flow. Now if I see which flow it is referred to, I'll do a view reference and I know, okay, this is the collect info and order flow is where I need to add. So you know that the section which I was using or updating, that is called collect info, right? Now all I need to do is I need to add a automation save called save database. Now if I add save database in between collect info and collect order, because you know the collect info is a place where you collected all the info and you have edited the changes, the email ID. Now here I need to connect the connector from collect info to save database and save database to collect order. So what will happen is, whatever you have changed, it will be part of the database in the clipboard, and then when this shape will be there, when we are going to manually trigger that savable database, then Pega will go and save the detail. Now here what I'm going to do is I'll say save customer detail, right? Save, let's say, customer details. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to customer detail savable database. Now here when I'm going to go for customer detail savable database, cost, and here I'm going to pass cost ID, right, which I have created. So what just to be in the safer side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to App Studio, and not this one, sorry. I'll just copy that particular property. So data model, if I go to property, I'll just copy that property just to be in the safer side. We are generally in the database, right? If I do a down arrow, then it will only come whatever there in that particular area. So I'm going to copy this one, right? Now I hope this is clear. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just align it horizontally so that it will look good. Now let's go and try to create another case. Now here if I go and do a save and run, right? Now here if I do 1 2 3 and tab, what is my current email ID is Sri and .mishra, right? I'm going to do is xyz.avc@gmail.com. Now I'll turn on the tracer also. Okay, it was there. I'll turn it again. So I'll turn on the tracer just to show you guys how it's gonna work. So the moment I click on continue, so what will happen is, first thing I'm going to show you whether the data been updated or not, and then I'm going to show you where exactly it got triggered and how it got updated. Now to see whether the data been updated or not, all you need to do is go action and refresh. So sri.mishra@gmail.com will change it to now xyz.avc@gmail.com. Now here I'll just show you also here that what is my so name is collect info and order, right? So collect info and order is where it has been called. So here so this flow utility end, right? So I need to go where flow utility started. So as you could see here, flow utility started, as you could see here, right? Now this is where my savable database is gone. Now here if you see, if I go to this second step and I go to parameter, right? Here, if I see and try to search for my database, right? So if, as you could see, my database name has already been passed as a parameter called d underscore customer detail, and my database param list has already been passed as the customer ID. Now customer ID, if I go to POI workpage, my customer ID is having the value whatever, sorry, cus ID, right? Cus ID is having the value whatever I have entered on the screen. So this is how it got triggered. Now Pega has triggered a lot of OTP activities. One thing which I wanted to tell you about, the validate, right? Now at one point, if you go and see over here, right, where it does a save setup, right? And then in the save setup, what it does is, so at one point, this is the OTB rule, right? At one point, there is a method called call validate. So if I open that method, right, validate, at the moment, if you see call validate, at the moment object validate has been referred, and the validate rule will be called. Now if see, if I open the validate rule, there is nothing, right, which is there in the base class. This is just an extension point that Pega provides. Let's say if I wanted to validate to make sure that email ID has to be in a proper format, in those kind of scenario, before saving the data into the data, it has to be correct, right? It has to be good. So there are two way I can validate. One is obviously in the UI, and the second thing, if it is runtime, I'm doing something, then I can save this to my class or my rule set version, and I can write all my validate rules so that it will execute all the validate the moment it reaches over here, and then based on that, you know that your data is being entered to the database is correct. So this is just one point which I wanted to highlight or let you know. So at the moment, obviously it is there in the screen, so it's okay, but there are scenario where it might not be on the screen, wherein you need to go ahead and validate during runtime. So during that time, you can use this extension point to save to your rule set and proceed with the validation. Now I hope this is clear. Now for the activity, it's again the same. I'm just going to show you by creating an activity, so I don't need to run it again. So for activity, what you need to do is, if I go create a technical and then activity, right? So what will happen is, in the activity, I'll say, let's say test activity, just just to show you, I'm going to create one, and here I'm going to call a method called save database, right? In this method, if I go and update this database, and here it asks me customer ID, where I can obviously pass the customer ID, cus ID. Now here another option which you need to focus is a right now. So basically it is the exactly right now option for object save method, right, wherein we are going to do right now, then and there, the moment this database referred. So let's say you got a scenario wherein you are going to do the save and commit at the same point the moment you it has been referred by activity, then you can choose right now, else you can uncheck this. So Pega, as we know, Pega has got commit point and the assignment and other detail, other point, right? And during that time, when Pega gonna commit, Pega will make sure that it commits all the details. So it's up to you how you want to design depending on your requirement. So this is another way. So I hope things are clear. And with respect to Saveable database, so I'll just quickly recap. I put a couple of points for you guys, so I'll just quickly recap for the points that we have learned today. Is when you want the data to be updated in external source or local data storage, you can use Saveable database, right? Without writing all the code, you just need to use the database, and it will help you to save the detail. It will also help you to fetch the detail. That's my second point, where I tell Saveable database contain both business and transactional logic. Now transactional logic where I fetch the data, business logic where I save the data, right? The same database can fetch and also persist the data back to the source, right? When I say persist, obviously it's save the data. Persisting is depending on how you call and how you maintaining, it's up to you, right? Now it is only applicable to thread and requester level, and it does not have a refresh strategy. Like I told, you need to manually do a refresh by using the cleanup mechanism that I have explained in my database part 3 final video. So you can either remove the database, or you can refresh the database, or you can search the database by calling an OOTB activity in the base class. Now it does not have a refresh strategy. You understood about that? If you refer a Saveable database, then it save the information even if you don't change. What does it mean? Because see, sometimes it so happen that you have referred a database, but I mean at this point, right, wherein what if a customer doesn't want to change, we have to refer a database, right? We can, I mean, you can put a condition, but that condition is depending on in a volume, whether you want to improve the performance, you can put a condition. If you would have seen in the what do you say, in the flow action, there is a when condition. Here you can put condition, if customer id changes, then only you can call. If you don't put a condition, then what will happen is it will go and save the same detail again. So I would recommend always put a condition, so that I mean, obviously, transaction to db is always costly, so make sure you checking the performance by putting a condition, and do only save if it is required, else it's going to go and save the same detail again and again, which is not right. Now the last point which I wanted to call out is, you need to call this database explicitly. You cannot expect it to be called automatically. So as I have explained, you can call from flow action, from flow, which I have shown here. From flow, you just refer the database and pass the parameter. You can call it from a flow action, where in the post action you can refer, and also you can call from an activity, and in activity use the right now option depending on when you want to commit. That's it for today, and hope you understood clearly. Please hit the like button if you learned something or you like the way I have explained, and leave me a comment if you have any queries or feedback for me. It will help me to improve and also motivate me to post more concepts and videos. As I always tell, sharing is caring, so do share with others so people who do not know about my channel will be benefited. Stay tuned for my next video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe and click on the bell notification for my new video updates. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.